What do you do?
What do I do? Well, my name is Stockton Helbing, and I am a professional musician. I primarily am a drummer. So, as a professional musician, as most musicians' lives go about, I have a lot of different jobs. Instead of having one main job, I probably have 30 jobs that are rotating. But my primary job is a professional drummer. Currently, I am the drummer for a guy named Doc Severinsen, who you are all too young to know who that is. But he's 86 years old. He was the original music director and band leader on the Johnny Carson show from 1968 to 1992. You guys were probably born after 92, but that's what I do right now. So I tour with him, but I also teach at college. I'm an adjunct professor here at the University of North Texas, where I teach music industry entrepreneurship. I'm an artist in residence at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, where I teach everything from worship ensembles to music directing classes to private drum set lessons. And then I'm jazz artist in residence at Oklahoma State University, where I go once a semester for a week to teach and perform.
So you do a lot of things.
I do a lot of things, yeah.
So how long have you been touring? Have you been touring?
I first started touring when I graduated from the University of North Texas in 2003. I graduated, and about a week after graduation, I was hired by a guy named Maynard Ferguson, who was a famous jazz trumpet player. And I toured the world with him for 4 years, so almost 4 years. So from my graduation till he passed suddenly in 2006. So I did that. So I have been actively touring the world and playing professionally for over a decade.
So you'd say that's how you, touring with him has opened doors for you in the teaching part of your life, or is that different?
Yeah, you know, the teaching aspect of it was something I never expected nor wanted to do, honestly. Especially as a student here, I couldn't wait to get out of college. I did not ever want to be in college again. But ironically, I've spent a great deal of time in school. Starting out, it was doing clinics and master classes, both with my association with Maynard Ferguson and his band, but also because of the notoriety I gained from being associated with Maynard. And then over time, colleges began approaching me about taking on a more consistent role as an educator at the school. Because of my tour schedule, I'm not a normal professor. I'm not on campus every week. I'm not on campus every day. I'm on campus as my schedule allows. But I think the reason that the schools have come to me and asked me to supplement their programs is to bring that real-world aspect, a fresh, very, let's say, up-to-date perspective on what you'll need to do in your career as a professional musician. Because ultimately, it's not my teaching that pays the bills, it's my playing and performing. Teaching is a nice supplement to what I do, but primarily I make my living, pay for my house and cars and whatnot, playing the drums professionally.
So, in your teaching, you said you were able to bring a real-world aspect to your teaching. Based on your real-life experiences playing professionally, what skills from that do you teach your students? What skills do you think that they should have if they want to come into the professional?
It's a great question. The most important thing for anyone desiring to be a professional musician is your professional music skills. The fundamental skills, whatever your primary instrument may be, or if you're an arranger or a composer or a producer, whatever it may be that is your primary musical focus, it has to be excellent. It has to be as excellent as possible, and it needs to be as excellent as possible as quickly as possible. Because the moment, and I tell my students here at North Texas this, the moment you cross the threshold of a higher learning educational institution such as the University of North Texas, your professional career has begun whether you realize it or not. Especially at a school this size, the people you are sitting beside in class, the people you're passing in the hallway are going to be your professional network for many, many years to come, the rest of your career. And so you need to start demonstrating a high level of musicianship and professionalism, even as a student, even as a freshman at this institution. The anecdote I like to tell people is my freshman year, I sat in a class here at the University of North Texas with Nora Jones, across the road from me. We all know who Nora is. She's a wonderfully talented person. She's wonderfully famous now. She was excellent when I met her. She was highly skilled. It was very obvious she was talented. So the primary thing you have to have is excellence in your musical abilities. I would say the immediate second thing to that is a positive attitude. In the music business, there's a lot of people who are very talented. There's not as many people who are extremely talented and easy to work with, responsible, consistent. Because when you're on tour, you might spend 1 to 3 hours on stage a day, but it's that other 20, 21 hours you're on a tour bus. You're riding in a van from your hotel to the venue. You're having dinner backstage. You're spending a lot of time around people that's not creating music. And those are the things that can wear people down or can make people disinterested in working with you. Sometimes it's not even your musicianship. It's your personability. It's your attitude. It's your cleanliness. I mean, if someone doesn't shower regularly and you're on a tour bus with them all day long and it smells bad, as disgusting as that is, those are the silly things that will make people not want to work with someone. So you have to be excellent in your musicianship, and you need to be excellent in the way you represent yourself all the time, because someone is always paying attention to how you're acting, and they factor that in to their decision whether they want to employ you or not.
So going back to the first part of what you said, the necessity to be as great as possible, as quickly as possible. That being said, in your personal experience, what kind of obstacles with that going through university, and maybe have you ever had any times where you felt, oh, maybe someone's better than me, or what can I do better to make sure that I am as good as I need to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a student here at North Texas, it was highly competitive while I was here, and it can be discouraging. I remember my freshman semester here. I grew up in South Carolina. I got a scholarship to attend the University of North Texas, so you would think, wow, I must play fairly well. I got a scholarship to go to one of the most prestigious schools of music in the United States, and I was first chair All-State in high school and all these wonderful things. I came to the University of North Texas my freshman semester and got destroyed. I didn't even place in the top 20 of drum set players at the first audition. It was devastating. It was a wake-up call. But I think what it forced me to do, and one of the key characteristics, is we have to stay positive. And we have to realize that though we seek to be as excellent as possible, as quickly as possible, it's not an overnight process. And we need to be patient. I'm a very impatient person. I think impatience turns into frustration very quickly. So what I've tried to learn to do as I've gotten older is to be patient with myself. So I think we need to work hard, but set a steady pace of hard work, one that we may maintain, because in our industry, we're going to try to grow and improve the duration of our career. And so in school, it can be, I think, daunting at first when we start and we're like, I have 4 years to accomplish something. I don't know how I'm going to do it, on top of taking my core classes, on top of, a lot of people, I think a big obstacle is their social calendar.
Yes.
I had to make some sacrifices early on, especially my first 2 years here at this school, that I wasn't playing my primary instrument as well as I wanted to. And I came here to play my primary instrument as well as possible. And so I had to make some sacrifices. There were long days in the practice room. There were a lot of times where I had a lot of friends going out and hanging or having a party somewhere or just going to see a movie, and I skipped out on it because I needed to go to the practice room. Was it fun? No. Is it fun now? Yes. It's worth it now. It was really hard at that time, and it would be discouraging. Sometimes I work really hard and I wouldn't see the results I wanted, but I've been blessed with a wonderful characteristic of being a hard-headed idiot. And so every time I wouldn't get the results I wanted, I would just redouble my efforts. But I think the big thing is to stay positive and realize that music is not a competition against others. Even though we might be in auditions, even though we see a list of people posted after audition who's first chair or second chair, who won this audition, who's going to get this opportunity. Music is a competition of the musician against himself to play as well as possible. And if we have that mindset, it's going to make it easier to practice. It's going to manage the discouragement we get trying to pair ourselves against others. When that really is, in the long run, it's not going to matter. I think if we have that right perspective of just comparing ourselves to ourselves, striving for excellence all the time, we're going to find that that's enough to keep us busy. There's always something we can improve upon. And I think excellence is not doing one thing really well. Excellence is learning to do many small things as well as possible. And as over time we gather all these very small skills, these very specific things we work on, it totals up to excellence. And we don't even realize it. We just realize one day, wow, I've gotten a lot better. And that's the best realization we can have, is that we haven't been dwelling on it. It just happens as a byproduct of the hard work.
So rewinding back to before you had to practice in college and make these sacrifices, you had to have made a decision that this is what I'm going to do. So when did the light bulb come on and you decided this is exactly what I want to do and I'm going to go for it?
Well, my mom claims it's her fault, because when I was a baby, I was very fussy. She said I would cry all the time, and there was only one thing that would make me stop crying. She said she had this little child's book of the Little Drummer Boy story. She said if she read that to me, I would stop crying. So she claims it's brainwashing, but I grew up in a home where music was very prevalent. My parents were not professional musicians. My father actually was not musically inclined whatsoever, other than listening to the radio all the time and listening to tapes. And I'm that old. I listened to tapes growing up. We didn't even have CDs. But I just grew up where music was something positive and highly valued. But I don't think I realized I wanted to pursue it seriously until my sophomore year of high school. I mean, up until my freshman year of high school, I had been coasting on natural talent. And I was always kind of the best student in whatever environment I happened to be in. But it was that freshman year of high school, I got to high school, and I hadn't been practicing very much. And all of these much older students, the juniors and seniors, were just destroying me. I just remember being really shocked at how terrible I was by comparison. And I did not like that feeling. And I realized that I didn't like that feeling not because I wanted to be the best, but because I liked music so much and I liked playing the drums so much that I was disappointed in myself for not being better by comparison. And so I think it was there that I realized I really would like to pursue this, and I began going down the road of pursuing a professional music world.
At that point, when you discovered what you want to do, and even later on in college, is there anything that you would have done better, earlier, differently?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, as they say. I would have practiced more. I practiced a lot. I would have practiced even more. As I get older, I realize that the younger you are, the more free time you have, thereby the more luxury you have to practice. As you get older, I mean, when you get in college, there's more demands on your time. As you exit college and you enter into the professional world where you're responsible for paying for all your bills, you have other obligations. When I got married, that changed things. All of a sudden, I had other things taking up my time. My wife and I recently had a son just a month ago. He's a month as of today, actually, and that takes up a lot of your time. And so I wish I would have been a bit more diligent when I was younger. I also, this is just a musical thing, I wish I would have had also more time, in addition to studying my primary instrument, to study piano more in depth. Because no matter what we do in the musical world, the piano unifies everything. It gives us a visual of harmony and melody. It gives us the ability to interface with a lot of different softwares we do if we're producing or engineering or composing, arranging. So in addition to just, I wish I would have worked harder on my primary instrument, and I wish I would have studied piano harder, even at this institution. I mean, when I was taking my piano courses here in North Texas, I did not work very hard on them, because at the time I was discouraged with my primary instrument, and I was pursuing playing it better, so I kind of blew off other courses here because I had to prioritize. I only had so much time, and I needed 6 hours a day to 8 hours a day practicing the drums. I didn't have 2 hours to give to piano, so I kind of got by. I got my B's in the piano class where I could have had A's, but even more importantly, where I could have developed a stronger skill set that I could use more. Because now in my professional life, when I do find myself needing to play piano, I'm just so embarrassed at the quality of it. I use it all the time. I would never do it in front of people. And if I were better at it, I would be able to do a lot of work that I did faster and better.
Well, that's all I have.
Great, great. Do we have additional questions, or is that, yeah? Come on down.
Stop it.